Hi, welcome. Let's do a March wrap up. I'm trying to get through my stash, which means trying not to buy anything. Did terribly in March. Trying to make sure that my grams knit out is greater than my grams purchased in. I'm coming to you from lovely Sydney, Australia, as we are almost at the end of daylight saving. So we have today artificial lighting. Hooray! March was pretty good. I made heaps and heaps and heaps of stuff in March. I also purchased 8 different types of yarn. So let's see. Do I knit out more or do I purchase more? If you'd like to play along, put your guess in the comments. The first thing I finished in March was a beanie in these autumn colours. Isn't it cute? At work, we're doing a Mother's Day crafty gift table where anything purchased, the proceeds will go to charity. It's just different than like the usual bake sale. So I made this beanie. I made some coasters, 2 of each. That's the back. Here's the front. It's made out of this cotton yarn. It's like a 10-ply, I think, in a eucalyptus green and in a linen sand something. They're also for the Mother's Day sale. Then I wanted to use up the rest of this yarn and I thought, how can I best do that? I'll make some more coasters. Let me introduce you to the square ones. I didn't use patterns for these. I just used like granny square, standard granny squares. Then I did some alternating colour ones. Ooh. 2 of each. These were fun. And then I still had more yarn left over. So I decided to use the same pattern and I just did solid ones with the circle on the inside and then into the square. So I used heaps of yarn for that. They were so good. The Hexie coasters were 46 grams and then the rest of the granny square coasters used up 148 grams. But I still had more of this left. So I just made the following basically until I ran out, until I had nothing left to work with. And I thought, okay, some baskets. Bump a bow. Bump a bow. So they're knit at a super dense gauge. So this is the first one I did, which followed the pattern. And it was nice and cute and small. And then I just made a slightly bigger one and I just went until I ran out of yarn. I did put a slip stitch top around it because I didn't have enough for a full round, but I still had an awkward amount left, so I thought I'll slip stitch that. And then I had heaps left of this linen-y tan sand colour, so I thought I'll just try a bigger one. So yeah, I have these 3 awesome baskets. These are also going off into the Mother's Day sale. So they sort of just stack themselves in. How convenient. The 3 baskets used up 206 grams of yarn. I had leftovers of this because of course I did. So I made some matching fingerless gloves. I sort of Zen navigated my way through these. On camera it's coming up very yellow, but in real life it's more of that reddy orange. Oh well, that's just artificial light for you. So these autumn gloves, 48 grams. If you can guess where I'm going, I still didn't use up all of that ball, but I did have enough for a quick and dirty baby beanie. So this is going to be donated. Anyway, all of the details for these are on my Ravelry, and I am showgirl boring on Ravelry. Guy that I used to date, he gave me an award for being the most boring showgirl. And it just kind of stuck. That's the history of that. So thanks, Mitch. That one's really stuck with me. But I did use up all of this yarn in those 3 projects. Hooray! I'm really enjoying how quickly crochet works up. So I had some spare yarn left over from another February project, and I made this granny stitch cowl. Tell me that that's not going to be delicious just as a light little something underneath a jacket. It's just sort of sits nicely. I smashed through 58 grams. Would I make it again? Maybe. Are there more fun things to make instead? Yes. This next one. I have been working on this charity knit for a while. Probably not a year, but it's been a long project. It's been an easy knit. I could knit it at rehearsals. I could knit it at work. For my knitting group and some of my knitting friends, we call this the Soviet jumper. And it's finished. It is an adult-sized jumper that I knit to donate to charity. This yarn is a discontinued colour of Cleckheaton Country 8-ply. The orange I think is still available, but this sort of Soviet grey is not available. So when I first showed my mate Ira, who's Kooky Knits, this yarn, we were like, it's kind of khaki, but too not green enough to be like a real khaki. It's kind of not brown enough, you know, to be a moss. It's kind of like greige, like khaki beige, greige. Then we sort of realised it just looked like Soviet architecture. So the Soviet jumper it became. It's a classic pattern from this book. I've had this book for ages. It's got a whole bunch of sort of different, very classic, very simple jumpers in it. But I used, this jumper, but in the V-neck, in the 8-ply. It comes in 5, 8 and 12 ply sort of options of the same garments. It's a great purchase, but it's, you know, nothing to write home about. It's not very exciting. Soviet jumper. I'm so glad I added the orange stripes to just break up the Sovietness, but it should be a medium, women's maybe medium to large-ish, or a men's small to medium. So however the charity would like to use it, they're more than welcome to. And finishing this jumper did so much heavy lifting for me in March. This used 700 grams because I actually used the full, like just the full amount of balls. There was none left because I had to sew up all of the seams. I got to use all of the little awkward bits. So yeah, 700 grams. This really helped me out with my totals. But is it enough? Ugh. I'm excited to get this one out of the house and on its way to someone who'll hopefully love it and need it in the winter months. Next one was another big project. It's the all-in-one granny squares, blocked, and then I also added a border all the way around in an 8. It's in an 8-ply. The colours of this are just fantastic. And I just used up all of the squares. This one is also going to go in the Mother's Day market. But it's going to be so cozy for somebody, I think. Like, oh, look at that granny chic. And I sewed all these together with a mattress stitch. That was super tedious. But I just put a movie on and just hustled and did it. And because I used up all of that ball of yarn plus some previous stash yarn to do the border, this was 280 grams. And I do like that you can sort of fold these up in squares. It's not working very well at the moment, but that's probably because I've got a camera on. And if something's going to go wrong, it's going to go wrong on stage. They're the rules. The all-in-one granny square yarn is, look, it's handy. Then I finished a project from some stash yarn from a stash down of Ira. She likes to knit ankle socks and I like to knit crew length socks. So we are the perfect match in our leftovers. Just a little pair. I've called these strawberries and cream and mint socks They're just my usual 64 sock pattern, and I put in a little row of eyelets. I did my usual slip stitch heel. It's called wedge toe. Nothing much to write home about, but another pair of socks, which is convenient because it's starting to get cold. These used 62 grams of yarn. Not heaps, but better than nothing. Into the final home stretch now. These were heavily requested for the Mother's Day market. Can you guess what they are? That's right, you win. They are soap bags. They're made out of leftover cotton 8-ply from Bendigo Woolen Mills that I didn't know that I had, and then I was tidying up and then I found it and I thought, damn it, that's a whole ball. So I made 2 of them. They didn't use that much yarn, only 12 grams. The final thing that I've made in March, I finished it last night, right on the wire, was another crochet scarf. It's a granny stitch and then a row of singles to sort of even out the stitch, and then a bunch of half doubles, and then it just repeats. It repeats and it repeats and it repeats. And it's this little scarf. I had 1 ball left. It's the same yarn as this and the same yarn as the Petit Soufflé that I finished in February. So finally, this yarn, all of this yarn that I purchased in January, the 300 grams, all of it is gone, which is fantastic. This used up, I just knit this until I ran out. So this is 100 grams. Hopefully someone will like it. And if it doesn't sell at the Mother's Day market at work, then it will go to be donated to the charity that I knit for. With all of these things that I've made, where am I up to in my stash down? Have I made it? Have I knit out more than I've purchased? Let me tell you about what I've purchased. I purchased the Granny Square yarn, the Autumnal Spot Saver. Oh, I didn't buy them in February. I must have bought them right at the beginning of March. So they all count in March. Wow, okay, ignore everything I've said this entire podcast. I bought a bunch of yarn. It must have been like the 1st of March. I bought this do-it-yourself Granny Square yarn. I bought everything for the autumn stuff. I purchased all of this cotton. I purchased some D-Stash Bendigo Woolen Mills. I purchased 2 sets of sock yarn that I'm going to knit for my folks. And I also purchased, just yesterday, another colourway of this in sort of, I think it's called Dove. It's in like black and grey and stuff. Hopefully you'll see that in April's update. But I bought a lot. I knit out 1,743 grams, which is 34.86 50-gram balls. That is a lot. That's how much I actually knit out in total. But I purchased 1,704 grams. Damn it. So I'm currently at a deficit for March of 39 grams, which is 0.78 balls. So even though I knit out almost 35, I purchased an equal value in. So just over half a ball in deficit. Not great. My previous months have been better where I knit out. So in February, I knit out 22.52 balls. This one, 0.78. Just goes to show that doesn't matter how much you knit. If you keep purchasing it, you're not going to get through your stash. Am I happy with all of this? Yes. I'm thrilled that all of this is moving out. I'm happy that this is all disappearing. I've even got all of this here too. Like I've made a lot of stuff. And don't feel bad if you don't knit this much or crochet this much. I crochet a lot. I'd say minimum a day is somewhere between 3 and 5 hours, because as soon as I get home from work or I finish work, I'm crafting until I go to bed, somewhere between 9:30 and 10 p.m, if not longer on weekends. And on weekends, Sometimes I'm just knitting or crocheting like all day while I'm doing other stuff. I can also knit without looking, so I can watch a movie or read a book or habit stack things at the same time. So please don't feel bad if your output is not insane like this is, because this is a lot. But you know, like the Soviet jumper I've been working on for a really long time. These were super quick. This is tiny. And I've been doing this the whole month. That's a lot of hours. 39 grams out, or 0.78 of a ball. It's not the best to end with. But I suppose it's better than nothing, you know? Thank you so much for joining me for my March wrap-up. How's your stash down going? Is it going as well as you thought, or are you purchasing yarn and making very little difference? Or are you a little bit like me and you have beautiful yarn in your stash, but just no inspiration for what to make with it? I know that I want to make some full plaid jumpers for myself, but I just can't find anything that I want to knit with it. You know, like I did a swatch. This is some Cascade Heritage. It's like a sock, but it's so drapey and soft, and I was going to knit a 40s thing with it, but honestly it's too soft for that. I wish you could feel it. It feels so slippery and wibbly wobbly, but it's this beautiful grass green that I would love to wear, right? But I don't know what to make with it. Let's see how we go for April. That'll be the challenge. Can I knit out that much but also not buy as much? How did you go with your guesses? Did you guess that I was going to be very so slightly in net deficit for the month? Or did you underestimate me? Anyway, keep in touch. Leave a comment. Whack a like. Find me on Instagram if you want to chat more. I will talk about knitting until the end of days. I'll see you around.